worked almost my whole life in the entertainment industry, and I had a new information. I had a little medical thing happens, and that often with people, some kind of medical thing changes where their head is at. And I was partially paralyzed for like 6 months. And after
Oh, wow.
surgery and coming out of rehab, I had this very big meeting with Entertainment Network. It's a big, you know, network in America that's just all about stars and celebrities and all this thing. And I was in there and I went, suddenly I just got really tense. I'm like, I definitely don't want to have anything to do with any of this. And it was because through my recovery stage, through pain management, I started doing a lot of meditation. And then through a lot of meditation, you kind of just mind shifts a little bit. And I started to see in the entertainment industry just the amount of excess and waste. And it's something still to this day I have a really hard time with. So we use everything here. People often say like, "Oh, I don't want that food to go to waste." And I'm like, your food will never go to waste. We have baby pigs. Those pigs will eat. You know, we compost everything. There's nothing that goes to waste here. In the entertainment industry, so much goes to waste. The amount of people that are just working on set, the amount of food that happens. There's so much waste. It takes so much money for an hour of entertainment, and it just didn't feel equitable to me anymore. And so I left that. I told them at the meeting, "Thank you," and I'm gonna pass. And I left, and told my husband that I wanted to leave my jobs, and would he be okay with that? And he said, "Yeah." And I ended up starting an animal welfare organization, and that's what I did my last 10 years in Los Angeles. So here's kind of a mix of
Wow.
both worlds. It's a very creative space. Um, we try and express creativity in all things that we do here, and we're also an animal sanctuary. So
I saw you have goats.
there's
I have like this really deep love for goats. I don't know what it
um,
is about them. They're just so
oh,
cute.
they're hysterical. I mean, goats are naughty. You've seen it before, where someone's talking, the goat comes up and just starts eating their clothes. The goats will just meh anything. They're super naughty and very adorable. Um, at the moment, I'm madly in love with my donkeys. We have these two. We rescued a mom and baby
Oh,
donkey who I'm mad about them. They're so sweet. They're uh they're very addicted to their own reflection and the company of people. And the way our farm is set up, we have 6 individual like mini holiday villas. So the place is very there's a lot of open space. You're just surrounded in nature. And then there's these 6 individual villas, and we designed them so the front that's all glass is a tinted glass. And the idea was that it reflects nature back, so that you just don't see these villas. They sort of meld into the landscape. But that
mhm.
also means that, well, you can see yourself there. And the donkeys figure this out, and they love to look at
Oh my
themselves in
God.
these mirrors. Oh, we tell our visitors in 2 of the villas, like, you're probably going to have guests in the morning, and the donkeys like hang out on these patios, and often if nobody is there, like when it's in the off season, the donkeys go up there and they start knocking on the villa door, because they want someone to come out and to see them, but there's nobody inside. It's
Oh,
hysterical. It's
oh
hysterical.
my
On our
God. That's
Instagram,
so
there's a really
cute.
funny post where we had a bunch of different guests that took pictures of themselves with the donkeys on their patio, and it's just this mashup of all these people waking up to have coffee with the donkeys. They're very funny.
Do they have names?
Yes, Tweedle and Dee.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute. Oh, and what other animals do you have on the property, on the farm?
So we have 15 goats, and we have the two donkeys, and then we have uh so two pigs. We got Roy. I rescued Roy from a restaurant, and he was kind of lonely, and we got him a girlfriend. And the idea was we were going to have a wedding and marry them off, but before we had a chance, she got pregnant, and now we have all these little piglets as well. They're
Oh
they're
my
hysterical. They're all
God.
very funny.
Wow. And did you start with
And
15
chickens.
goats or did they just breed?
No, no. We
And
started
chicken.
with um 6 goats. Yeah, we started with 6 goats. The breeding. So this this last
And
this
do you,
last round, the
mhm.
last round of breeding was a bit of an accident. Our two oldest male goats we had sterilized because we want to control the population. Spay and neuter your pets, please. Um, so we had the oldest boys neutered, but apparently the one brother must have had some kind of under the table deal with the veterinarian because he was left with one ball. So
Oh,
we had no idea. Like, we thought that he was neutered, and then much later, it looked like our oldest goat was pregnant. We were, how did this happen? I went and felt, and sure enough, there was one ball that was still there. And we thought, well, it's just the one goat. But it turned out that that ball got very, very busy, and it got every single one of our female goats was got pregnant.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. He was like, all right, this is my
Yeah.
shot.
Look what I got. So, yeah.
Wow. So, about how does that work with the farm? Like, do you get goat's milk and make
Yeah.
cheese, or is it
Yes.
just like a vegan, vegetarian
It's
farm?
so, um, I'm a vegetarian farmer. Um, and during the retreats, um, it's all vegetarian. We don't breed any of the animals for meat. And yes, I do make cheese when I have the time. We make our own cheese up here, and then we have gardens. We try to get as many of our vegetables from here directly, and um, yeah, but mostly they're here for cuddles, to be honest. Not the vegetables, but the animals.
Yeah. And what kind of vegetables, like what fruit and veggies do you have on the property?
It changes every year. It's kind of the cool thing about farming. If you're if you're a person that is um uh, afraid of failure or making the wrong decision, farming is a great way to go because it's new every year. So you have your garden and you plant every year. And if your onions didn't work that year, they may work next year. I really like that. That every season it's a clean slate. And our land. So we're in an archaeological park, and the land hadn't been farmed for a really long time. And we're doing a lot of soil regeneration. And each year, the it changes, and the crops get better. And so every year, it's like a clean slate. It's a new palette to sort of grow from. Yeah. So we
I love
do,
that.
vegetables, and
I
try to
definitely
plant
want to
things.
talk about.
Yeah.
I think there was a delay, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, we try and plant things also that they don't have here. And Albania is a little backward. I mean, there are things that you cannot get here. And we're a few hours from the capital, so it's very provincial here, and there are um, some foods you can't get. So we try and grow those ourselves, or some that are really expensive because they're importing them.
Yeah. 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 I see that a lot here in Mexico. I live in Mexico.
Yeah,
And when I was living in the States, uh, you know, a dragon fruit
yeah,
was like a luxury fruit. Oh my God, so expensive. But here, where it grows, you know, it's regular. It's a
yeah,
normal price, It's
right,
and avocados too. Oh my God, avocados were so expensive in the States.
yeah,
And here it's like less than $1
right,
per avocado. So yeah, I feel you on that.
yeah, yeah,
Um, Going back to the villas, because I
yeah,
saw the photos of them and I thought they were really beautiful.
yeah,
And they reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen, uh, I think they're on Airbnb also, like as featured properties, but also in some of the extraordinary home documentaries or shows, you'll see like this cube in the forest that's completely reflective and it just
yes,
disappears into nature.
exactly.
I really like that look, and your villas kind of have that going on.
Yes, that's exactly what we were going for. In fact, the paint on the outside of the villas, if you look closely, um, none of them are painted the exact same color. They're ombre because we wanted kind of camouflage in there, so they're just like a slightly different hue. But that was the whole thing, reflecting back to nature, and the design of it actually. Um, we used shingles on the roof, which in America it's the number one uh, roofing material is shingles. Here they told us you can't shingles aren't for roofs, but it's the number one roofing material in America. We don't use shingles. But I had this idea about that the roof line is like a bird's wing, and so I wanted the shingles on the top like feathers. We finally did get the
Mm.
shingles, and I don't know if you've seen, but the Albanian flag, they have a really cool flag. It's a double headed eagle like this. So each villa is turned slightly, so none of them have the exact same view. So whatever villa you're in has a slightly different view, and you're not looking into any other villa. Um, but there's one space
That's
where if
good.
you
That's important.
stand, the two roof lines do this, and it's a double headed eagle between the two villas because the idea is that they're
Oh, that's
they're the
cool.
bird's wings taking off. So a lot of thought went behind things that no one will ever know.
Wow. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the questions was how does your creativity go into bote? Is it bote farms? Is that how you
Bota.
pronounce it?
Yeah, Bota means world. So we're world farms. Yeah. Um,
Mm.
I mean, creativity is plays a part in everything that we do all the time. I think that my husband and I look at the farm as the biggest canvas that we've ever had. Um, the biggest personal canvas. We did movies and things. Those are pretty big canvases, but um, for us personally, like the villas, for instance, the footprint of all the villas are exactly the same. But inside they're completely different. They all have their own personality. So we have 6 villas. We have Zen, we have Old Hollywood, we have Space, we have Casita, we
Oh,
have Elements, and we have Austin Powers.
wow.
Yeah, it's an arrangement, and even the keys. So for the keychains for each of them, we don't have Amazon here. That's a bit of a handcuffing, but I bought and my friends in America sent to me. So like in the Asia in the Zen Villa we have uh um oh now I've just lost the it's an edamame pod, and when you squeeze it, the little peas
Oh, how
come
cute.
up. For space, it's a little rocket ship with a little flashlight on it. Hollywood has a clapper on it. Austin Powers is a disco ball. So, like for us, there's an infinite layer of creative possibilities. We haven't done everything that we've wanted to do yet, but we still have so much canvas still to paint on.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I love the concept of each of the different villas. And I'm sure you find people that resonate with each one of them. So many different kinds of people in the world. Speaking of people,
Yeah.
how have the what kind of retreats do you hold at your property? What kind of people have been staying with you?
Yeah. Um, so the retreats that we do, we produce them two ways. So I knew from the art background that when we had this land during the off season, I wanted to do some art retreats because I have a lot of contacts and people in America that would love to come over, and it's a great way for me to hang out with a friend for them to come over and uh, be a mentor and to do these creative retreats. And then also I am a yoga teacher and a meditator and an Osho breathwork facilitator, and taught
Wow.
here in Albania for 5 years because I didn't have, yeah, I was the only yoga teacher in town at the time. And so the wellness retreats were um, a continuation of that. And then we're available for people to rent the space as well. And I kind of love that aspect of it because for me, when I was producing, it's very much someone would come in and say, "This is what I see, right? I want to have this feeling. I want it to be like this. This is what it is." And then it's my job to help make that vision a reality. So I love it when people are renting the space and to hear what they're into. And we've done things from like very, very serious, very spiritual, um, uh, strict yoga to uh, really important development work to some more fun, like uh, yoga and travel, general sort of wellness. Sort of depends what the people bring to it. And I'm able to once I hear what it is they're looking for, be able to plug in some holes with some other possibilities that they wouldn't know about. And it changes a little bit depending on who the group is. Um, I'm super excited. Next year we have our first men's retreat, which I am very much in favor of every man doing some personal development work.
Yeah.
If you're listening, men, dive in and do it. So I'm really happy to be able to like support that type of work here. Um, yeah, so every year it's a little bit different. We've been doing writers retreats every year. Had a couple of New York Times best-selling authors that have been down here. Um, some TV and film writers, and then various types of wellness from Reiki to Osho to uh, uh, tantra, aerial yoga. We've done all types of things.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of different things.
Yeah, it's not all on me. It's when I produced myself just like two a year. And so we have, space for six others throughout the year. So we usually do three others, three rentals in the spring and the fall. And then it's really what makes good sense here and what they bring to it. And that's the real joy for me as well, is that it gets to be very varied. If it was just my retreat over and over again, I'd be so bored with myself, you know? So the fact that there's someone else
Yeah.
coming, and I think it makes it interesting too as we grow for the network, for people that fall in love with this space. They come back to see what retreats do we have going on next year. So
Hmm. So of all the retreats that you made and been part of, witnessed, which one was your favorite that you thought it really just made use of the whole space and it was your favorite?
there was a women's retreat. Um, it was a coaching self-development retreat, and they had all been private clients of the facilitator. So when they all came together, they already had such a deep level of trust because it was someone that they had been working with. And to witness the the level of bravery that happened in that space and that time was really emotional. It was really lovely. And I think there's this serenity and this peacefulness in here. This, like, you're cradled in here, and I think that really helps support this feeling of safety. There's no 360-degree views of no neighbors, so you really have the sense of that you're in your own world. And I think that intimacy and that depth was really well supported in that. Um, yeah, and for any retreat that comes in, no matter what type of retreat it is, they have the option of taking our additional wellness support. So, um, we usually have, they can have an additional yoga teacher that can do a class or two, or breath work or meditation. So, like, even when we do the writers retreats, we are doing wellness as well, because in creativity, the healthier you are holistically, the freer your creativity flows. And for me, in terms of being a co-host, I love doing the writers retreats, because they're projects that continue. So one of our first writers retreats, there's two of them are publishing their first book. So that's really cool
That's
to,
amazing.
yeah. And we're in touch, and like, keeping that alive has been, like, really a beautiful thing.
I've recently heard about writing retreats, um, because the retreat industry has been evolving, and initially it was just yoga, and now it's evolved into all of these other things. And I've heard, you go on a retreat and you come out with a book. It's
Yeah,
like, what an amazing
could be
way
like that.
to invest your time.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'm not a professional writer. I journal every day. I enjoy writing, and being in nature, silence, having space, having nothing to do and nowhere to go, and just being inspired
yeah,
by what's around you.
yeah.
It makes things easier, and
It
especially when you're
does.
doing it in a group of people that are all doing
Yeah,
their writing
yeah.
too.
We with all the retreats, we bring in a mentor, so someone who has achieved what you're looking to achieve, and they help to guide. And I think that's what's been really special about this retreat as well, is that we bring about other creative. Uh, you always hear about writer's block, like that's the biggest fear of all, and so part of just multidisciplined uh, creativity is getting out of your own head and out of your own way and doing something that
Yeah.
may not be at all useful for what you're writing right then, but it blasts the blocks. And so that's really, I love that as well, that I feel like we're really supporting the process.
Yeah.
And actually, I should
So
if I
let's go
can.
back to food. Oh,
Oh, just really quick, I want to tip my
sorry.
hat to
Yeah.
I told you I was a talker. Uh one of the first retreats that came in, um she brought in Osho dynamic breathwork here, and I have to tip my hat to that because I did not know about it, and I fell in love with it, and now I'm a facilitator of this work, which I love for retreats, because unlike the meditation I've been doing for decades, that meditation takes a while to kind of build up, and Osho meditation is more like a somatic breath work, and that's so powerful right away. And I love to be able to help retreat hosts to create something that um, really provides their client something that's impactful. In fact,
Mm.
I am having a bit of a debate on some of these Facebook pages about length of retreats, because, like you said, retreats, the industry is booming and everyone is now teaching and retreating, and there's so much of this. And a lot of people that are coming in with much shorter retreats, and we've done them in all sizes, but I really believe that when you start getting into these shorter retreats, you're really not giving the client the time and space for that start of transformation. And that if they leave it, even if they had a wonderful time, but if they don't feel somewhat transformed, or they aren't making a pledge to continue something past that to truly transform, they may not continue it. And so, yeah, I'm having some debates with people, and I was really nervous when I first posted it, but I've had a lot of people kind of back on that they also feel like the length of time for your retreat is really important, and think about it carefully, because if they're traveling, those are 2 days that are not immersive. Anyway, that's my soapbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great soapbox. I think it's a conversation that a lot of people are having. So I'm glad that you're putting your 2 cents out there.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine, Michelle, that I just interviewed for Retreat Builder,
Uh-huh.
and she went on a retreat that was like a day and a half.
Yeah.
It was like you get there Friday night, you have Saturday during the day, and then you leave Sunday morning. So she's like, you're there and then you're not.
Yeah.
It goes by so quick. And she enjoyed it, but she did wish that it was longer, especially when you need to travel, like you
Yeah.
say. I mean, those 2 days, you getting there and then you needing to pack and go is like your brain is already somewhere else. You're not
Yeah.
grounded in the moment in the
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I
Um,
do
but
Vipassana
then the flip
meditation.
side,
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
the flip side is that I've heard a lot of retreat leaders say, some people are like, oh, I don't have the time. They don't know what they don't know. And so creating a space where they can just dip their toe and then say, okay, I like that. I need it more. But for them to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I think if your center or your studio or anything is around a bunch of people, and you have somewhat localized travel, I think it's great. It's when you start putting that travel on things. I mean, if I had a place I could just dip out to for a 2 day touch up, um, I think that's super useful. Yeah.
I love that 2 day touch up. Okay, so I was gonna ask you about the food.
Yeah.
Tell me about the food. Do you have cooking classes there also, right?
Yes. I'm hoping to get like our first uh cooking retreat in here. which I really, really want to do because I have a great commercial kitchen. That's the that's sort of my area, the cooking. Um, I was a big time foodie in Los Angeles. I watched every um, food show, and as soon as they would open their restaurant, I was like one of those people. Used to be a show called, I can't remember it, but it's like you get this basket, and then you'd have to make something out of that basket, and I would watch it, and I'd freeze my TV, and I'd say what I would make out of that basket. You know, I was really into the whole thing, and followed all kinds of cookings and was really into food. And then um, when we moved here, while we were waiting for the downside of what we did, all of our permits and um, all the permissions and the building schemes and all that, we opened a small um, health restaurant in town where we were living in an apartment. And
Hmm.
that was my first restaurant that I ran. And year two was COVID. And at the end of that second season, we became the number one restaurant on TripAdvisor for the area. And it got really, really
Wow.
busy. And that was a real boost for my ego. And then also during COVID, I watched every episode of MasterChef Australia. Has to be the
Really?
Australian one. The other ones are not the same. There's about
Why?
45 episodes. Well, okay, so having been a reality TV producer, it's completely different. So the US MasterChef, every episode someone goes home. At the end of every episode, someone is given the boot. And as a creative person, if every time you do something, you know that there's a possible boot at the end, it changes in some people their ability to take risks. And so MasterChef America, I think, has, I don't know, 18 episodes a season. MasterChef Australia has 42 episodes. And they break it out. So three episode cycles, you are not you have no risk of going home. You have risk of like getting something better, um, but never going home. And so people really grow a lot more during the process. And also it's much longer. So, but you can see them progress and grow. And so it's a whole different thing. And if you like cooking shows, check it out. It's amazing.
All right. I do like cooking shows. I
Oh,
love food. I
yeah.
love food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I love food.
yeah, the food we do here during the season, if you're here just renting the villas like through our website on a vacation, um or if you're not
Mhm.
staying here but you're staying in town, we do these day farm experiences. And so we
Ooh.
bring people tourists from town in, um as well as people that are staying here, and we do a 6 course farm to table meal, and it also includes an Albanian cooking class, and that's that's a great way to experience the farm if you're not staying here, but you get the best of everything because there's animal time. We have an eco pool that we built, so there's pool time. You get the Albanian cooking class, and then everybody sits at this one, oh, you can't see it. You have a magic table that floats, and this is the
Ooh.
view. And it's been just a
That
great
table on
way.
your website, that's a
Yeah,
long table that's
yeah.
floating?
Not really. So if you like, um, topsy turvy cakes, the cakes that's like a giant cake and it's like balancing on a tiny little cake, and you wonder how does that happen? Like, or they're like this.
I
Um,
don't think I've seen that one. Maybe I've seen like a slanted
yeah,
one.
it's sort of the same thing. It's this 40-ton polished concrete that we poured and built, And it's basically balancing on three little legs in the center that from most angles, when you look at it, you don't see any legs at all. So it looks like it's just floating in space.
Wow, that's
Um,
cool.
it's really cool. It's beautiful. And the experience with people, because people from all different cultures and languages, and they come in and they come in from the bus, and they're all like, nobody's standing next to each other, and no one's talking, and we talk about boat to farms and being connected, and meeting people, and I promise them all that by the end of the day they'll all be fast friends, and you can see that happen. You can see um the way that it just changes. And that I always say, if you guys were all on the beach today, Albania is known for their beautiful beaches, and there are beautiful beaches. But if they were all on the beach that day, no one would have talked to each other at all. You're in your own little bubble. And so instead they came here and maybe found a new best friend. So I love that aspect of it, that kind of connection.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Food does bring people together, and so does nature. And just like you said, having that long table, it just feels very family,
Yes.
communal, just brings people together. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So on that note, and I just lost my train of thought. So give me a second for it to come back. I was
All right.
thinking, oh, because you said beaches. Are
Yeah.
you close to the beach?
Yeah, we're close to the beach. We're not walkable to the beach because we're in kind of the foothills. So if you're staying here, it's a 15-minute drive. If we're on the retreats, we do a beach day. Um, yeah, we're 15 minutes to a number of different beaches. We're right off the coast. We're right by Saranda, which is right across from the Greek Isle of Corfu, if that helps people.
Oh,
We're 10 minutes
okay.
from, well, we're 15 minutes from Greece either way, by land or by sea.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy. And how do you get to Albania? How do you fly in there?
You can either fly into the airport in Corfu, and then you take a ferry across the Saranda, or you fly into Tirana, which is the capital, and then take transportation down here for our retreats. We have our own little tour bus, and we pick people up in Tirana and bring them down. Um, and Albania is constantly talking about building more airports. So I don't like to spread gossip, and it's hard to know because they were talking about it forever. But maybe there's another new airport that's opening right in the middle, but I don't know.
Hmm. Okay. So maybe Albania is about to, well, eventually it'll
Oh,
blow up.
oh, it's blowing. You're in the other continent, so it's not blowing quite that hard for you right now. But in Europe, it is exploding. All of the discount airlines are all flying into Tirana. The UK had a huge push. We see tons of people from the UK coming this last year, probably quadruple the year before, and um,
So
Belgium, the
much.
Netherlands, Sweden, Germany. Um, yeah, we were in Condé Nast, España. So Spain are starting to come.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the new Croatia or whatever came after Croatia. They always keep doing that, but it's super super busy.
wow, that's good to know. For all those retreat leaders that are looking for the new hotspot,
This is it.
Albania is it.
Yeah, I always say. I mean, I say to people because the people are always looking for a retreat in Greece, or Italy or Spain, and I always say like, "Hey, you jumped over my head. Like, why are you jumping over my head? I'm right there." And for me, again, I told you that you know we're unique here. We're the only thing like this here in Albania. I think it's a great way for um, an industry that has gotten so large, and you have to find ways to set yourself apart that what if you start with your retreat by setting it apart from the location? Not that Greece isn't beautiful or Italy isn't beautiful, and not that they're not beautiful retreat centers there. But if they have an opportunity to go to 15 different ones in Greece or 35 different ones in Greece, what if you did offer something that was just a little different, just a little more unique? It gives you, I think, a little leg up.
Mhm. And I mean, I think that a lot of people don't really know much or anything at all about Albania. I
Yeah.
didn't know there were beaches, for example.
Oh,
I didn't know it had some of the most beautiful beaches. This is news to me.
yes. I think was it Traveler magazine listed the bluest waters, and Albania was ranked number one for the most turquoise waters in
Wow.
the world. But it's an entire coastline. It's 7 hours of coastline from tip to tail. Um,
Wow. That's almost as big as, well, that is that like the
California.
same as Florida? I
Yeah,
think it takes 8 hours to drive up Florida.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so are there are there any activities? Because so you mentioned, I just wanted to get all the activities. You
Yeah,
mentioned there's a pool, there's the farm, there's animal cuddles. You've got the
yeah,
beach, 15-minute beaches,
yeah,
multiple 15 minutes away. You got Greece 15 minutes away.
yeah,
If you wanted to take a day trip into
yeah.
Greece, you could and stay in
Totally.
Albania.
Yeah,
What about hiking in those beautiful mountains you
yeah,
got back there?
yeah. Anywhere. Um, yeah, there's hiking everywhere. It's a great place to have a scooter into the country. Boat trips. Um, we're really close to a number of UNESCO heritage sites. Butrint, the ancient town of Butrint, and the village of Gjirokastër. Um, we also are right near a place called the Blue Eye. We're about 15 minutes from that. And it's a um, blue spring that's in a park. If you look up Albania Blue Eye, it'll come up. It's beautiful. People go there all the time. And uh, we now hook people up with kayaks down the Blue Eye River. And that's
Oh,
stunning. We do that with all the retreats that come in. Yeah, there's a lot to do. Um, there's a lot of interesting history. There's a lot of beautiful nature. Um,
oh, tell me about the history. What kind of ancient culture is there?
yeah. So the ancient city of Butrint is an archaeological site that is almost like you can there's so much that's left there. There's an amphitheater, and for 2 weeks in the summer they perform in the amphitheater. um and it's on this little island, and so it's in a really beautiful location, and it's isolated from the outside world, and it's still like this little town in there on this island. And think it was what Homer was writing and wrote about it in one
Oh,
of his
wow.
books, where he talked about
Okay.
Butrint was such a beautiful city, it reminded him of his own home of Troy. So that's kind of cool. But if you're into, yeah, archaeological sites and history, there's a lot of that here, which I'm mad for. I love it.
Are there any um ancient beliefs that you've gotten to know or that you've incorporated into your space? Like, I don't know, rituals, ceremonies, values, things like that?
The Albanian people are extreme. I shouldn't say the Albanian people. Many people in Albania have they're very superstitious. And so like uh, doctors here have been known. Doctors doctors have been known to tell people
Yeah.
also to put a clove of garlic in their pocket. We had a friend that was in an accident and cracked a rib, and he told him what to do, and then also said you should put some garlic in your pocket. That was a big one. Um,
Okay.
they have their local alcohol, like their um their locally made alcohol is called Rocky, and that is probably the biggest culture thing here is that they drink Rocky all the time, everywhere, all the time.
Oh.
And they believe it does everything. During COVID, I had a number of conversations with Albanians that COVID no did not contain the or Rocky did not contain the vaccine for COVID. They're like, but we don't have it. Like, they think that it is like this all healing property of everything.
Well, I
They're
gotta look
very
that up.
into toasts. Um, and they're very superstitious that if you're driving around, you'll see a number of houses or farms, and they have a stuffed animal that's hanging from the fence to ward off evil spirits, or garlic hanging about, or blue eyes. So they're still very much rooted in superstition. I try and remind
Okay.
people that, until 94, they were under like a Kim Jong-un type of communism. They broke from Russia because they thought Russia wasn't a strict enough communism. And they broke from
Oh,
China
wow.
when Nixon sent an envoy to China. They were like, they wanted nothing to do with the US. And their leader here was crazy, like super crazy. And he basically spent all of their resources in time and treasure, in people and money, to build these bunkers everywhere, all over Albania. If you look up Albania bunkers, you'll see them on the hills. They're everywhere. And he had his people stationed in these bunkers, waiting for the invasion. And I'm American, like you, and I never really heard of Albania. And not because they changed their name like Montenegro. It was like we just never heard about it. We didn't care. And when we met a good friend of ours here, who's an older gentleman, he's like 80 now, and he was one of the guys in the bunker, and he talked about
Oh,
um, how difficult it was for him to realize that all that time that no one was coming and that nobody cared. I thought that was really kind of
wow.
profound to suddenly,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. That's so
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
That's so crazy. So what of all those bunkers now? Have they been like remodeled or removed or
No, a lot of them have been
what's
removed. A lot of them have been removed. A lot of them are still around. You can crawl in some of them, and if you're hiking around somewhere, you'll come across a bunker. Um, I know that there's a couple of
that's
them.
wild?
There's an amazing museum in Tirana, in the capital, in the main square, called Bunk Art 2, and it's all done in the bunkers there, and it talks about Albania during communist time, and it's really impactful. But I do know that there's at least one of them somewhere that's a tattoo parlor now. That, like, the guys turned it into a tattoo parlor. But yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
Wow. Well, that was a fun rabbit hole.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so I think I'll just ask one more question. Is there
yeah.
anything this is what I wanted to ask you from the beginning. What has this whole process taught you? Like what is the biggest lesson that you are grateful to have learned?
It's a lovely question. Um, Patience. Yeah, I was not very good at patience. I've always been someone that ran 3 steps ahead of everything. And I think really living in nature and being a part of seasons, starting something from scratch. This land was empty when we got it. There was no water, there was no power, there was not a single building, there was nothing. And, I thought we'd be done in like 8 months. Flash forward 4 years later, and it's not, the first year it wasn't all that we wanted, but then finding the joy in um finding the joy in watching things grow, and impatience also gives a different perspective. Some of the things I thought we really wanted to do in the beginning, if we hadn't run out of time or money and we had done all of those things, I don't know that they'd be useful. um and letting things sort of unfold. So patience has been probably the greatest gift of being here.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I'm sure that same lesson and gift translates to everyone that goes to visit you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's our hope.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shawn,
Yeah,
for
it was my
being here
pleasure.
and sharing. This has been a really lovely conversation.
Yeah, I wish I had a glass of wine and kick back with you, Crystal.
Yes, I have some coffee.
Okay.
So cheers.
Cheers.
Okay.
Cheers.